Hey guys, so today I'm going to explain you some of the basic of the GKE architecture. What is actually GKE? When we say about the GKE, which is the Google Kubernetes engine, it has a certain set of architecture which explain the Kubernetes clusters. Right? So what is known as Google Kubernetes engine. In the screen you can see that we have a control plane and we have a nodes available. When I say control plane, in case of Google Kubernetes engine, control plane is fully managed by Google only. When I say control plane, it is fully managed by Google only. That means we no need to worry about the control plane which we are creating. When we create a GK cluster, so Google will manage the control plane. So we have a master control plane and worker nodes. In case of GKE, we will be responsible for only creating the worker nodes, not for the control plane. Every components of the master control plane to be taken care by the Google only. Let us take a case. You have seen there. We have a API server. We have a scheduler. We have etcd. We have all the specific component of the Kubernetes cluster here. So each and every component is managed by Google, right? We no need to be set up any overhead on the control plane. That is the basic feature of the GKE, Google Kubernetes. When we say it's a managed Kubernetes cluster, which is managed by the Google only, we will be responsible for only nodes which we are creating. Let us take a case. I will let you know with the more specific ways. 1 second. Yeah. You can say manage Kubernetes services on GCP, leverage a high availability control plane, including multi-zonalization, eliminate operational overhead with auto repair. This is a basic feature in the GKE. There is auto repair, auto upgrade, and release channel. Security by default, including vulnerability scanning of the container image and data encryption. Integrated cloud monitoring with the infrastructure application Kubernetes specific views. You can monitor your cluster from the cloud native feature of the GCP. You can say basically there are two kind of GK cluster. One is autopilot, second is standard. When I say standard, in case of standard, control plane is fully managed by Google. We will manage the worker nodes, right? We will be responsible for the taking care of the worker nodes only, right? So whatever the worker nodes we are creating, so we will have to choose what kind of the operating system we have to choose, which container runtime we have to choose, what are the things we have to choose, that we are responsible. And we can go accordingly. The standard GK cluster. There's basically in standard GK cluster you have a certain options also. Either you can go with the specific cluster specification which is required as per the requirement. So let us take a case. So in case of when we go for the standard GK cluster, you can create GK cluster with the n number with minimum and maximum number of worker nodes. You can keep the minimum as a 1, max as much as you can, right? But there is certain limits also. That when I say as much as you can, it depends upon the quotas limit. That doesn't mean you can go it to anywhere. So you can see we have a Google managed control plane is managed by Google, and worker nodes we are managing when we say the standard GKE cluster. In case of autopilot, we have another specific that's the autopilot flavor GKE, in which the Google is solely managed your worker nodes as well as control plane. You will only responsible for creating pods. You will not be responsible for any of the worker nodes, any of the control plane that's solely managed by the Google. You have a key benefits. You have a SRE monitoring, you have a automated repair apps, you have a resource optimization, you have a load balancing, auto scaling, Global Virtual Private Cloud SLA for entire cluster. Cannot run privileged pods. That's a limitation. ASM is in preview, Anthos Service Mesh. So we will cover these Anthos Service Mesh and all these things later on this, but these are the part of this. Standard versus autopilot. You can see, as I told you, the in case of standard we have a in case of standard the control plane is managed by Google and we will be responsible for the worker node. But in case of autopilot, wholly solely is a worker node as well as the control plane is fully managed by Google only. Availability type, we have a regional. In autopilot we have regional and zonal. There is no zonal in case of autopilot. A release channel only. Standard we have a 3 specific release defaulted specific channel we have. Networking routing is a BPC native. We have 2 kind of network routing is BPC and route based. Network isolation, private public. Kubernetes feature production, we have only production or alpha features are available there. So these are some of the autopilot unsupported features, right, that can be taken. The following GKE cluster features are not supported by the autopilot. For GKE version prior to 1.124, the following instances types were not supported in autopilot. Preemptible VMs and spot VMs in preview. Securities, binary authorization, Kubernetes Alpha API, legacy authentication option, no container threat detection, ASM in preview and configuration currently not supported. These are some of the security features which is not supported by the autopilot. Right. Apart from this, miscellaneous, right, local SSD cannot modify the kube system namespace, no permission to modify the cluster nodes, limited number of storage class available to use, resource limit need to be equal to requested resources, custom monitoring tool cannot be installed on the resource cluster, no conversion, backhook limitation and no window support. So this is specifically when I talk about the difference specifically about the GKE standard cluster and auto cluster. So the nodes per cluster. We, in case of standard cluster, we have a 5000 nodes for GKE, right? So maximum number of the nodes in case of auto cluster, even it is managed by Google, it is 400 only, right? To run more than 5000 nodes required, lifting the cluster size quota context. We need to, for example, we need a n number of nodes. I already in the previous session I told that the quota and limit should be there. Nodes per node pool. So how many nodes per node pool? I say 5000 nodes, but per node pool it can support only 1000. There is no applicable in the GKE cluster because nodes are managed by the Google. Nodes in a zone, no node limitation for container native load balancing. NEG based ingress, which is recommended whenever the possible. GKE version 1.17, NEG based ingress is the default board. NEG not applicable to the autopilot. Pods per node is 110, 32 pods, right? Pods per cluster 1,50,000 is 12,800 pods. 32 pods per node 400. You can multiply with that. Container per cluster is 1,000, 3 lakh around 25,600 in case auto. Endpoints per service 1,000 for GKE 1.9, later 250 or older version, and 1,000 for GKE 1.9. This is specific port. I have shown you some of the differences. So we will cover most of things in the later on any of the next video. Thank you.